Last time on Welding and Wheeling.
My first ever Ritchie Brothers where I bought something.
Alright, got down here and found my item. That right there is the reason I bought it. Inoperable, of course, so it's got a spark plug missing out of it. It's not seized up, which is good. The distributor's missing some screws and pieces and stuff, and is a part. And most importantly, to right now, the starter does not really want to engage. Alright, so I got good news. If I could film this, so we have it all hooked up again. We now have a starter that functions. These points are pretty nasty.
Oh yeah, now we got spark.
Now you're up to speed.
All right, that's awesome. So I guess I need to do a little bit more cleaning. So we have spark now, which is great. Now do I do the right thing and go get a set of spark plugs for it, or do I just see if it fires up with only 3? And I think you know the answer is I'm going to see if it just fires up with 3, or at least like tries to pop off or something, because that would be, I don't know, too smart to do it the other way. Okay, so we have spark now. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the propane tank on, and we're gonna crank on it a little bit and just see if it'll fire. Like I said, it's only got 3 plugs in it, so if it fires up, we're only gonna run it for a second. I don't know. I just want to know what it's gonna do or not. Nothing yet. I did notice there's a choke button up here, but I suspect that might not have power anymore. It's an electric choke. We're gonna try it anyway. Nothing yet. I might hit it with a little carbon choke cleaner just to see if it pops off or not. Alright. It's trying. Alright, so it is trying. I don't know the first thing about propane carburetors, if I'm being honest with you. I've got one other propane forklift. It's never had, well, I'm sure it has carburetor issues because it's super unreliable, but I've never worked on the carburetor, so I'm gonna go do the right thing, get a new set of plugs for it. That way we don't have one open cylinder. Okay, don't grab onto that when you climb up on the trailer. Yeah, so you can see that's the carburetor down there. So what I'm going to do is go get some plugs. So I'll pull the number off of these, which I think I can see right there actually. And then maybe I will pull the intake tube off and see what the choke's doing. It's got a choke button up here. I'm assuming, because I have the ignition switch all taken apart, that choke is not working currently. Which I could probably manually engage actually. No, that's throttle. Maybe we'll try it once with the throttle down. All right, so I was getting ready to run to the parts store, and then I remembered my other forklift has a Continental in it. So I just grabbed a plug out of that. So I'll throw this in it for now. And if it does run, I'll go to the parts store and get 4 new plugs. And I'll go ahead and get all the stuff to service it correctly. But before I dump money into oil and filters and plugs and I'd say belts, but these don't look that bad. I want to make sure it runs first. and make sure the transmission's not blown up or anything like that. At least I prefer to. So let me get this plug thrown in here. So because that plug was out of it and this thread's rusted up, this is not really threading in super nice. Kind of taking it slow and careful. So I hope I don't break it off in the cylinder. That would really suck. Although this is a flathead and it would be wouldn't be that bad of a fix, but I really don't want to do that if I don't have to. So we're gonna call that good enough for now. So on the cold weather placard on the dashboard, it says to fire it up with the choke on, which I hooked my test light into. So once I put my positive terminal on, I'm also going to throw the jump pack on, which holds down the ignition wire. All that goes there. I'm also going to hook what usually would be your ground for your test light. That's the power, and the test light's in the choke assembly. I'm going to go ahead and put the jump pack the rest of the way on. Got that turned on. And then it also says to give it full throttle, so we're going to do that. Maybe. Oh, it's trying to do stuff. Ooh. All right, it's backfiring out of the air filter, so I'm going to throw that back on to try and help it restrict a little more airflow to it, which will add to our choking effect. All right, still got the choke on. We're still going to continue to give it full throttle because that gave us the best results. Whew, it likes the backfire. Come on, baby. Tank on. No, I guess I didn't. All right, didn't have the tank on, dummy. Whew. Nothing now. It's like spark. I'm gonna take the choke off for a second. Okay, so now it's not even popping. We still have propane. The valve's on. Maybe I'll just let it sit. Maybe the propane's got to get down to it or something. Like I said, I know very little about propane, so. All right. Does make me start questioning what this switch is. I'm gonna hit it with a little more carb cleaner, maybe. That seemed to get a response out of it last time. All right. I don't want to kill that starter, and it doesn't seem to be wanting to pop anymore.
So it looks like I might need to learn a little bit about propane systems. The valve's on, I know that. So
At least let me double, triple check that. Valve's on. And it smells like propane's getting in here. I can smell it. Like this wire used to be a coil wire, I think. that's hooked up here to a solenoid. So I wonder if that needs power. Because that might be some sort of on and off solenoid. Alright, we're starting to lose power here. And that didn't seem like it clicked it right on or anything, so I'm going to do some research and see what this little solenoid even is for. So, did a little bit of research. This thing is a regulator, electrically powered. Electrically powered. So I have it run over here to the hot side. At first it wasn't making any noise. I tapped it on a couple times and it seems like it's clicking, like it's trying to do something. So I'm going to hook my choke back up and try it again. All right, so I'm gonna set you guys back up here. Got that solenoid hooked up now. Got the choke hooked back up, as you can see by this light going down here. We're gonna try and start it again. Oh, it's definitely trying now. Alright, just pull back on both levers. It does tilt and go up a little bit. It's still strapped down, so I'm not going to do too much. But that is really good to hear. Sounds like it needs a tune-up really bad. It does not sound good. I might have the timing wrong now, so I need to check all that. But it does freaking run, and that's really good. It doesn't smoke. So that is all win to me. You can hear it sounds like the timing's off or something. But now that it runs, and I did verify the front end of it works, I think I'll go to this parts store and start getting some spark plugs for it, wires. I'll check the timing again, and I'll grab everything for an oil change probably. But that is a really good feeling. I had to do a lot of stuff to this thing. Get that starter working, figure out the ignition system someone butchered, and figure out that solenoid. So this solenoid acts just like a fuel shutoff on a diesel. I should have realized that earlier, but I didn't. Now I know. You just gotta send power to it and you're good. So when I take power away, that should shut off eventually. It's still gotta burn all the propane out of its system, I would assume. So I'll just cut the ignition. That's awesome though. Really happy to hear the thing run. So, of course, Napa screwed me. They didn't have spark plugs or spark plug wires, so now what I've done is I pulled the truck forward so I have room to back this thing off. If it fires up again, of course. But before I do that, I want to see if this thing's gonna have any brakes or not. So I got this cap busted loose, the master cylinder's buried all the way down in here. So it does have fluid in it, which is a good sign. It's a little low, so I'll probably go ahead and throw some at it. But that's a good sign that it's not dry. I don't know if you can see down there. Yeah, you can. So there's a chance it might have some brakes. There's also a chance the parking brake will work, because this is not, this trailer's not super tall, but it's not low, so
kind of like a chance at stopping it when it's going down the trailer. All right, so let's see. It's been sitting about an hour now while I ran to the parts store. Let's see if it'll fire up again. And then I'm gonna go ahead and try and get it off the trailer. Or first, I'm just gonna see if it goes into gear and stuff. See if it feels like I have any brakes. If I do, I'm gonna go ahead and try and back it off the trailer, but I'll reposition you guys before that, hopefully. We're also running our charger or our jump pack and our battery low again. So I need to go get a fresh battery or bring my car around to jump it, I guess. Should have just kept it running that time and backed it off then. Alrighty, everybody. So it's a new day. This is now my second day working on this machine. Yesterday you saw me get it running for the first time in who knows how long. And it did run, and I did get the tilt and lift working. Didn't really get to test them because it was strapped down. I did not get to try the transmission because I figured if I shut it off, I was going to go to the parts store and get some tune-up parts. And then when I came back, it would not start for the life of me. So I think I found out that it's getting too much propane, basically. You can hear it dumping out of the air filter when the tank's on. So I have very limited knowledge about propane systems, but this one's a pretty simple one from what I know. So obviously if your tank valve runs in here in this hose, comes in here. I have no idea what this thing does. I think it's just like a pass through. I don't think it does anything. Then your hose goes down here and you'll see it's empty right now. That's because there's this little electric valve, which was part of the reason why I wouldn't run yesterday. So I put power to it and it opened up and allowed propane pass, and that's when the forklift ran. Since then, I kind of was fidgeting with this thing, really trying to see if I'm missing some other purpose with it, but I don't think I am. So now it doesn't seem to really be working when you hook up power to it. So I'm going to take it back apart, see if I can clean it. One thing I do notice is it says it has like an orifice on it, 1/4 inch. I don't know if it's like a jet or if that's just the opening of, I guess that's probably about 1/4 inch there. So if I can't get this working, I'm debating on whether or not I go to Home Depot and get some adapter fittings for today and just adapt this down to here, and then maybe I can get it running again. But I don't know if that's really the right thing to do. And if I do that, I'll make sure I just shut the tank off every time. If not, it could all leak out my propane, which would not be cool. So if I do that, or if I get that working, and it still doesn't want to run, then I'm going to go ahead and pull, I guess this is the regulator for the propane, off. So need to pull this radiator hose off, and that's bolted to the head. So instead of having like a bottom radiator hose, it just goes right into the head. So pull that off and maybe take that apart, get some numbers off of it, see if I can order a rebuild kit, because I'd like to rebuild that either way if it's going to give me some issues. If all that seems fine, if I can find a rebuild kit for that, that's great. And then we come over here, and the last part of the system, there's another hose, which is this guy, runs all the way down here to what they call a mixer, which to me is a carburetor, but I guess when it's propane, you call it a mixer. Now, apparently there's not really much that can go wrong down in these. So I'm going to leave this together for now, and just focus my attention on that valve thing and the regulator. So I'm going to take this over to my shop. I'm going to clean it up again, see if I can get it working. If not, I guess we're going to run to Home Depot and try and get some fittings to adapt this line onto here, because this is 2 different size fittings. I already tried that. Tried to clean this thing up and get it to work, and putting direct power to it and grounding off the body of it. It's not clicking or doing anything right. So ran to Home Depot and got a bunch of 1/4 inch fittings. And when I found out, I can pull this fitting out, union, male, union,
male, then it comes out as 1/4 inch over here. So that should be able to replace that, and I can just bypass this for now. I will order another one of these. I did find them last night, not this exact one, but kind of like a universal one on Amazon for like 50 bucks. So if this thing's a good machine, I will go ahead and order one of those. Good note, I do have very limited experience with propane, as I've said, but one thing I do know is you cannot use Teflon tape on propane fittings. So I guess you don't want the tape to get into the system. I don't know the whole science behind it. I just know you're not supposed to. So hopefully none of this leaks, but if it does, I did get some of this thread paste, and I'll use a very little bit of that. I don't even know if you're supposed to use that, but I'm going to if I need to. We got the temporary, super sketchy bypass going on here. It kind of interferes with this radiator hose, but it's temporary. So just open the valve here. I don't see any leaks. Just gonna let that pressurize and hang out for a second, because I don't really want to get the 3rd-degree burns from propane or whatever the heck happens. I don't want to find out about that today. So now that's bypassed, I know we're getting fuel to the regulator. I'm gonna wait around a second. I am smelling some propane, so something's leaking somewhere. I think I can hear it coming out of the carb, actually. So that was part of the issue yesterday, is I think it was over pressurizing. So we might still have to dig into that regulator, but I'm going to go ahead and try and start it anyway and see if maybe that was our issue. That'd be great. Nothing. Oh. All right, all we're doing is wearing the battery down, so something's not working. And I guess I'm gonna try and take apart that mixer device or regulator, whatever the heck you call it thing. I know there's a bunch of diaphragms in there, so hopefully I don't take it apart and rip that. If I do, no matter what, I think I need to order a rebuild kit for it anyway. So I got this thing all apart here, which is great because now I can get the numbers off it. So it looks like it's JNS 101C maybe? I don't know. Also interesting, it's got the thermostat built into it. I knew it drained coolant back into the head, but I didn't realize it also had the thermostat in it. It's definitely been off there because there's all the sealant here. And there's a 3rd hose that comes out the bottom here, which I assume carries propane, but it dumps it like, no, it dumps it into the water pump. It's got to be, that's got to hold coolant. It's hard to tell. Yeah, I guess it smells like coolant. So yeah, that's another coolant line. So now we got to see if all these Phillips screws are going to come out or not. And hopefully I can get this thing apart without destroying it. And figure out something. Oh, even more. I'm also going to get cleaned up and see if I can find a rebuild kit for this. All right, so should pop apart now. So that came out. That looks kind of gunky. Looks like there might have used to be a gasket in here, but it's kind of falling apart. I'm gonna let that be though, because I don't have a new gasket. So that's like a button. I guess this is a diaphragm right here. I don't know. So that seems to do button stuff. Ooh! There goes that. Let's go lose it. That's it like that. So, like I said, I guess this is a diaphragm. I don't know exactly how it functions, but somehow I guess it presses on this. Not sure. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to propane stuff. So, hopefully I'm not making like a major mistake here. So that looks like it's submerged in coolant. But I don't know what it holds or what that bolt does. I'll throw that back in there for now. The next thing I see that I can take apart here, I guess, is pull this out. That stuff's just falling apart. Again, I don't have a gasket kit or anything for this, so I want to be kind of careful. Also, like, what does that little thing do back there, I wonder? SMH, Systems and Material Handling, Water Capacity, Working Pressure. Looks like we do have a model number up here. So this is a vaporizer is what you would call this. So I guess this is what takes it from liquid propane and turns it into a gas, which sends to the carb, which is definitely doing, because I can hear it coming out as a gas out of the mixer. So maybe I shouldn't take this thing any farther apart, because I guess it's doing its job. At least shouldn't take it apart any further until I have a rebuild kit. It is gunky as all hell in here, though. Like, look at all that. That can't be good for anything. All kinds of gook in here. All right, well, not sure if I should, but I'm going to go ahead and try and pull this out. Fit a little better. It's a little big. There we go. I guess I've had a vise on my truck. So I assume there's a spring behind this, so hopefully it doesn't try and fly out of there. No, it didn't. So that looks like it's supposed to have an O-ring or something that's broken. So that's not good. Yeah, that's not good. So it's just like there's an O-ring here. And there's a spring back here like I suspected. And that's really all I see. Let me pull this screw out again. Yeah, I'm not seeing like much that I need to do in here. I don't know how this comes apart from this. I don't know. I don't know what to do here. So that's the inlet. Gas comes in here, flows through here into there, down into this bottom part, I guess, which is right next to where the coolant's going. Then I assume it like comes back up through here, and this little valve guy does something. I don't know. This valve is actuated by this diaphragm, which doesn't have vacuum or anything going to it, so I don't know how you repair that. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can just clean everything up, and then I guess jam this thing back on, and I'll pull a line off by the mixer or the carburetor and see if this thing's vaporizing as proper, which I think it is, because I can hear it coming. I can hear vapor coming out of the mixer carburetor guy. So I'll do a little cleaning here and we'll throw it back together, I guess. At least I got to see what the inside of a vaporizer looks like, so that's cool. And I did get the model numbers off, so if I do need to order a new one of these, I can. Or a rebuild kit, or look up how to rebuild this, I don't know. All right, I gotta throw this in too. So overall, I didn't fix anything in here. I mean, I cleaned it out a little bit, but it didn't seem like there was like anything actively blocking like an important port or anything like that. So I don't think I changed anything. Probably, if anything, I made it worse by opening up this seal. It's probably not going to leak. So that sucks. So I guess I'm going to throw this back on there, and I'm going to leave the output off and see if I can hear it like hissing out the propane or not, in which case I'll know that this is doing its job, I guess. I don't know. And if that's the case, then I guess I need to pull the mixer apart and see if I can find any issue there. So we got it all pretty much hooked back up. Still left the coolant hose off in case the thing has like a major problem. But we're gonna test if that vaporizer works. You can probably hear that. I mean, it's not shooting out liquid propane, so I would assume it's working. So I'm gonna hook that line back up. I'll hook this cooling line back up. And I guess we'll move over to the mixer, because I guess that's the only other thing that could be having issues in the propane system. All right, so I've been fidgeting with this mixer here for a little bit. So I did find there's a model number on it. Now you're upside down. I think it says like model 55 or 65. Also gives me an inlet pressure. Over here it says listed automotive low pressure regulator for LP gas. And I get another little number. So I've been hooking this thing up as a choke. I think what it is it's just like there's a little plunger in here. I had this apart. I'll actually pull it apart real quick for you. So you pull this off. That's just like that. And then another little solenoid thing with this plunger, which I think would just like enrichen the mixture, is I think what it's doing. So, not 100% sure that works. I need to check that again. It's kind of not an amazing shape. So yeah, that's what I think this whole collection does. I'm gonna put you. So in here, I think is where the magic happens. That looks disgusting. So there's a little plunger guy here. That's the inlet. That's all gunky. Looks disgusting. And all that gunk in there. So I think that needs to be cleaned, if I do say so. Not exactly sure how I'm going to clean it, because like I don't know if this comes off, and nothing over here comes off. So I'm going to do some looking around. Yeah, you can pull that whole housing off, the enrichener or whatever. So I got that off. That actually was here. You can see how gunky it is in there. So That's great, because now I can actually get all the way around here and clean it. So I'm going to blow it out with some starting fluid, I guess, after I try and get all the big chunks out. And just generally go through this thing. Also pull out this metering valve here and see if I can clean down there. So we'll get that cleaned up, and hopefully that's part of our issue, because to me that looks like a dirty carburetor, and dirty carburetors on gas engines don't like to run, so why would a dirty carburetor on a propane engine want to run? So we'll see if I can get this all cleaned up. I don't have a rebuild kit for it, but I'll just be really careful with all the gaskets and everything. Okay, so cut this all the way apart. There's a little O-ring there. I pulled that out. There's this gasket up here I pulled out. There's just no good way for me to get in there and clean up a hand. I mean, you can see, I just put my finger in there and just pulled out tons of gunk. So I have some carb dip over my shop. I think I'm gonna go dunk this in there during lunch. I got all the gaskets and stuff out of it that I think will be affected. And hopefully that'll clean up not only this outer body, but also the interior here. So I think I'll leave the throttle shaft in it. No reason to pull that out. And I'm going to, let it soak, I think, while I'm at lunch. And I'll probably let a lot of the parts soak too, because this thing's so disgusting. Hopefully this is part of my problem, or if not all of my problem. That'd be great. So, hopefully when I come back, this thing will be nice and clean. It's been a few hours. Had this stuff soaking in the carb dip. Came out really good. You can now see, I think it's model 55 inlet pressure 2-12 PSIG. Inside cleaned up good. I mean, this thing was full of gunk, especially in here and in here. So, hopefully that gunk was what was keeping it from running. So also made a little bit of a mistake. I let this soak as well, which just has a rubber top. And I mean, it didn't degrade yet, but hopefully it doesn't fall apart on me after a while. So now I gotta remember how to put this thing all the way back together. There's not that much to these though, so it shouldn't be that hard. So I'm gonna get to that. It's been a few hours. Had this stuff soaking in the carb dip. Came out really good. You can now see, I think it's model 55 inlet pressure 2-12 PSIG. Inside cleaned up good. I mean, this thing was full of gunk, especially in here and in here. So, hopefully that gunk was what was keeping it from running. So also made a little bit of a mistake. I let this soak as well, which just has a rubber top. And I mean, it didn't degrade yet, but hopefully it doesn't fall apart on me after a while. So now I gotta remember how to put this thing all the way back together. There's not that much to these though, so it shouldn't be that hard. So I'm gonna get to that. So I slapped that car back in there. Didn't bother filming it because it's so tight back here you wouldn't have been able to see anything anyway. All it really is you drop those two nuts off there. There's studs on the carburetor. There's a line you hook up at the bottom there. That's the propane feed line. And you gotta just do this little throttle clip, and that's about it. So I think for now I'm gonna leave the air filter off. That way it can, if I need to manually choke it or something, I could maybe do that. And we're gonna give it a shot again. I'm really hoping this was the problem, because if I can't figure it out, it's gonna go sit around for a little while until I can find a gasoline carburetor for it. And I'm just gonna pull this propane stuff off and convert it to a gas motor. So I'll get you guys set up and we're gonna try starting it. All right, so I screwed something up in the carburetor here, mixer, whatever the hell you call it. It's just dumping propane out. It might be dumping out the same amount as it used to before, but now it's just more noticeable because I have the air filter off and I can really hear it. I'm not sure, but it's just pouring out of there. So probably not even safe to really try starting it. I tried, but before I realized. So I really think this thing's just I'm gonna try and find a gas carburetor for it, and I'm gonna do away with the propane stuff. I'm only ever going to use the forklift outside, so it's not like I need the propane system. It's kind of a pain to have to keep a propane tank around. So, like I said, this is an F163 motor. Super common. Not super common, but pretty common. So I should be able to find a carb around somewhere for cheap or cheapish. And then just throw it on there, run a fuel line up, and I will build a little tank mount up here. I've got a perfect little tank over at my shop for this. But I mean, I looked into the rebuild kit for that. It's like $100. I couldn't even find a rebuild kit for this. I could find like another carburetor that was supposed to work in place of this. That was like $300. And I could just go get a reman or like a Chinese carburetor for an F163 for like $200, or I can get a really good one for like $300. So that's more than I really want to pay. So I'm going to keep an eye out and see if I can just find a good used carb somewhere. Throw it on here and then hopefully have a good lift.